Hi friends, my name is Miss Jackie and I'm the Children's Programming Coordinator for Charleston County Public Library. Welcome to Kindergarten Boot Camp. This program is geared for parents and caregivers of children who are getting ready to go to kindergarten. Each day I'll be talking about a different early literacy skill that will help them with kindergarten readiness. So today I have lots of books that I am going to be sharing with you, and we're going to be talking about ways that you can make reading more fun, engaging, and build vocabulary skills, and just make reading a fun experience for you and your child. So why is this important? Well, research has shown that children who are read to a lot will be successful and will also be lifelong readers through school and through life. Research also shows that books have 30% more rare words than talking alone. So, for example, I have this book here, But I Don't Eat Ants, which is a really funny book, and inside there are lots of different words, different rare words that you probably don't use on a regular basis just by talking alone. Things like devour or gobble, and you can talk to your child about what gobble means. You can say gobble means to eat, but it means to eat it really, really fast. Or devour means you're almost just eating something whole. You don't even chew it, you just devour it. It's so delicious. There's also words like tortellini or Italian antipasto. So you can talk about different foods that come from different countries, gazpacho. So look for books and talk about books that have rare words, and you can help build your child's vocabulary, which is really important for them to be successful in school. All right, so we're going to be talking about some different tips, ways that you can bring books to life. Like I said, we can talk about ways that you can build your child's vocabulary with reading. So let's get started. So one of our books that we have is called Big Chew, and in this book there are some different motions and different sounds that the train makes, like chugga chugga, choo choo, and clickety clack, and screech, clank clank. So books like that that have repetition or sounds or things, you can act out those motions with your child and have them engage in the story. So you can have them move their arms for chugga chugga, clink clank, clickety clack. However you want to do that, just have your child participate in the story, and that will help them kind of have an enjoyable experience with that book. Another thing that you don't have to do with a book is you don't have to read a book, all of the words in it, or you might just get a wordless picture book. But for instance, you could go on a picture walk. You could talk about the book without even reading any of the words inside. So for instance, we have this book called Duck on a Bike. This is a really great book, and you could start the conversation just by talking about the cover art. You can even open up the cover so that you can see the entire spread of the cover, and talk about what is happening. Who do we see on the front cover of this book? What type of animal is that? It's a duck. What's the duck doing? It's riding a bike. Where do you think the duck is going? Does he look happy? Where do you think that this story takes place? Are there any clues that you can see where you might guess where the duck is riding the bike? And over here you can see this kind of looks like a barn, so maybe it's happening on the farm. Or they might know from their background knowledge that ducks, they live on the farm. Some ducks live on the farm. So, and then you would open up the book and go page by page, talking about asking open-ended questions to your child about the story. So again, here we have the duck. He looks very perplexed, and this is a great way that you can introduce new vocabulary words to your child as well as you're talking. He looks like he's really thinking about that bike, and what do you think he's thinking about? So just go through each page talking about the different characters, the setting, and then predicting what they think is going to happen. So this really helps your child to build their confidence, to engage them in the story. Wow, look at all of those kids. They're riding their bikes so fast. Do you think that, where do you think they're going? Do you think they're going to catch the duck? How do you think the animals are feeling? What can you tell by the expressions on their face? And they look so surprised because they get their own bikes. So, and then at the end, you can ask them what they think is going to happen. So that is one way that you can engage and build vocabulary with your child, is by going on a picture walk. So you can also make connections in real life with your child by reading books. So for instance, I have this book here. It's called The Cow Loves Cookies. Who doesn't love cookies, right? Kids love cookies. So in this story, the farmer is going around to the different animals, and they're talking about the foods that he feeds to the animals. Like he feeds the horse hay, and he feeds the chickens the chicken feed, but the cow loves cookies. And that phrase is repeated throughout the story. So you can run your fingers underneath those words and let your child know that that's their cue to read along and to repeat. And that's going to, once again, engage them in the story. They can participate with you. It's going to build their confidence when they recognize and see those words on the page. So yes. And then the other thing that you can do, I talked about incorporating this into real life experiences. So you could read this story and you can talk about, the cow loves cookies. We love cookies too, don't we? When was the last time, do you remember when we baked cookies together? And then have a conversation about that. Can you remember what ingredients we used? What did we use to make the cookies? And you can talk about different things, having a conversation with your child, incorporating that into your day-to-day life. Maybe you can then make some cookies with your child, and then you can read the recipe together. So another way that you can introduce print awareness, math skills, lots of great things, lots of good experiences, that positive reinforcement of reading. And so another way that you can incorporate and engage reading with your child is by playing fun guessing games. Lots of books are interactive. So this is an animal guessing game, Who Am I? So this will help, it talks about, it gives clues. So I have a sticky flicky tongue, bumpy green skin, 2 bulging eyeballs. Bulging, that's another good vocabulary word. And then says, who am I? So children can predict what they think is going to happen. What animal are they talking about? And then they can see whether or not they were right. So this takes their background knowledge of what a child might know about certain animals they can predict. It's also a nonfiction book, so this might be tapping into something that your child is interested in. So they might want to learn more about another animal that they see. So great to find interactive books as well. So let's talk about other ways that you can read books and important things for your child to learn in order to know how to read books. So we talked about going on a picture walk, but you can also talk to your child about the different parts of the books. You can talk about the front cover, the back cover, the spine of the book, also pointing out the title, running your finger underneath it, and then also talking about the author and the illustrator. That's very important when you're reading to your child. Also different concepts like knowing that how the pages work. We turn our pages, and then you also read from left to right and then from top to bottom. And so those are some ways that you can talk about the concepts of the book. And we're also going to be talking about, I talked about our guessing game book, but we also have interactive books. So we see a lot of these. This book is called Crash, Splash, or Moo. And again, this book has repetition in it. It's teaches predicting because you have to play a game virtually when you're reading this story. So the action clam is going to do some different stunts and you have to guess what's going to happen next. And it says raise your hand if you guess crash, splash, or moo. What do you think is going to happen to him? So kids can predict. It's super fun and engaging. There's lots of interactive books out there that are good for maybe if you have a reluctant reader, or even if you just have a child that loves to play and have fun. So these interactive books, they're really popular, so check them out. All right, so one thing that you should also know is your child, as you're reading, they may interrupt you. They may ask questions. That's a good thing. You want them to be engaged and ask questions as you read the story. You don't have to, keep reading until you get to the end of the story. Also, maybe look like they're not paying attention. But a lot of times kids, they may be listening, but they're doing something else. That's just how some kids learn. So don't worry if they don't seem like they are actively listening. And if they aren't particularly interested in a topic, ask your child what they want to read. It's really important to empower children and give them that freedom to select books that they're interested in. So storybooks are not the only thing that children need to read. Like I said, nonfiction, informational books are great. Your child might be interested in graphic novels. They may like to listen to audiobooks, magazines, chapter books, anything that interests them as long as they're reading. That's the most important thing. Okay, so now we are going to talk about another thing is that it's really important that you model to your child reading. So let them see you reading the newspaper, magazines, a book. Again, in the kitchen, you might have a cookbook that you're reading a recipe. You are your child's first teacher, and so have lots of books around the house, have different reading materials, even just reading the mail. Let your child see you reading, engage, have fun with it. So One last activity that we're going to do, something fun that you can do with your child, is to make your own book. So for this, you're just going to you can take 2 pieces of paper, you fold them in half, and you can staple the top and the bottom. You can add however many pages, but I'm just going to start with this, the 2, because you would have your cover page and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you would ask your child, and you would make your own as well. So you're going to make a book and your child is going to make a book. So have your child draw a picture on each page, and you can be specific about the subject that you want them to draw. Maybe you went to a story time and you want to focus on that specific theme. You can also have them draw a picture about a certain book. So if there was a book that you just read, you can draw pictures about that. But you're going to just have them draw pictures on each page and ask your child questions about what they've drawn. Remember that it's important to give your child enough time to respond. It usually takes a few seconds for kids to formulate what they're going to say, and so just pause and give them a moment. And then when you make your book, you can talk about the things that you've drawn, and you can have your child then ask questions to you about your drawings, and you can talk about it. So save your books, and you can have children, you can talk about it again in the future. So the most important thing for you to remember is that reading can be fun, it can be engaging. Your child will be a lifelong learner and a reader, and the library is here with lots of great materials. We have wonderful staff that are happy to help find book recommendations. And remember that the library is free. It opens the world to learning and imagination, and it is the #1 card that you should have in your wallet. So thank you so much for tuning into Kindergarten Boot Camp. I hope to see you soon, and have a wonderful day. Bye, friends.